Welcome back everyone, and just when you thought that the regular season's the only thing that keeps us fans entertained, and sort of enthralled throughout a calendar year, it's not really. The transfer market has started and it started off with a bang. It's the main reason why we're doing this video, and I'm doing a bio on our first signing. But as I mentioned in last week's video, the dominoes are happening and falling into place, and as we've seen that, like I said, a few renewals or a few potential sales are going to lead to other players coming into the squad, and the first of which we have to talk about in this week's video, and we're going to do a sort of a slight bio on the player, and that is Maignan. From now on I shall just be referring to him as Mike, because that surname is quite hard for me to address, because I'm aware I pronounced it wrong in previous videos, so we're going to call him Mike from now. But yes, a deal has been locked in for Mike, and it's a 5-year deal, a very good deal. He earns around 2.8 million per season. The deal was locked in for 13 million euros with 2 million euros worth of add-ons. So we're looking at a maximum of 15 million euros for the total deal. It is, like I mentioned in previous videos, it's a no-brainer financially and logically as a club, and considering the player who's departing us, Donnarumma, it makes, not that it makes sense. I mean, you can stake an argument for both sides whether we should have gone down the route of renewal, or obviously Mike coming into the squad. But it clearly got to the point of no return for Donnarumma at the club, and we're going forward with this. And I'm going to sort of highlight the player Mike Maignan and go through his past and what he can bring to this club and what it's going to mean for the transfer market going ahead. So not a lot of people would have heard of Mike prior to this season, especially neutrals and a lot of people not following France football. But obviously his success has gone and coincided with Lille's success in Ligue 1. And obviously Lille had just won the title a week ago, taking the reins off PSG domestically. And Maignan has been a focal piece of that team, and you look at the stats behind it. He played 38 games this season, played every game this season for Lille. He racked in 21 clean sheets, only conceded 23 goals. These are amazing statistics, and even though you can't sort of co-align them league to league, things change. There's a different defence he's going to be working with in a different league, different teams surrounding that league as well. All these things you can't really take into account, but these things are obviously good signs. They're good signs. He's up there with the total clean sheets in the top 5 leagues of Europe. Obviously, I just think in light of everything happening with Donnarumma and seeing him go on a free, it's the perfect scenario that we have such a good replacement in line. And obviously he's coming off a very good season with very good form, and at the age of 25, soon to be 26 in July, and I think we've got ourselves here a top keeper. I'm going to come on to it, obviously, how he's evolving his stature internationally and his past before, where he's had good sort of a good reputation with actually players at the club we currently have right now. So the question is, how come Milan are getting such an impressive deal for Mike, considering the fact that he's had such an impressive year for Lille? And really it comes down to his contract. And for all of you who don't know, is the contract running out until 2022. So he's in a similar situation to Romagnoli and Kessie at the club, where we have to get these potential renewals done in this summer, hopefully. And Lille didn't want to take the chances. Clearly he wasn't going to sign a renewal. He was earning 1.4 million per season there at Lille, and we've clearly doubled that salary at the club. So really kind of makes sense for Lille to part ways. They're not a club who also are going to overpay for players to currently stay. They are a selling club, much different to us. Obviously we're not on the upper trajectory as other teams in Europe, but we're seen as a club who is a step up from Lille, despite the fact they beat us 3-0 in the Europa League this last season. We're a step up for the player, and I think he sees it as a way that he's going to excel himself in his career. He said he likes the project here, and obviously he wants to excel in his position as France's #1 keeper, and hopefully get to that point. And we'll come on to his position in France shortly. So before we leave Ligue 1, I'm going to touch on another team that Mike Maignan played for, and that was PSG. And he came up through the ranks as a youth player. Didn't get much experience, obviously. PSG being a perennial Champions League qualifying side and winning leagues back to back, it was quite hard for him to get game time. That's why he sought to move to Lille in the middle of last decade, and it was the right decision for him. But there's obviously a great story, if you haven't read it yourself, about between him and a certain player who plays for our club right now, which is Zlatan Ibrahimovic. And Ibrahimovic, in his typical cocky stature, tells Mike Maignan in a training session that obviously there's a few swear words I'm going to miss out of this, but he's not good as a keeper. So the next shot that came round, Mike delivered an incredible save, and then turns back around to Zlatan and tells him, certain swear words missing from this as well, that he's not a good attacker or a bad shot or whatever it was. But got back into the changing room, and Zlatan liked that. He liked the bravery, and he sort of gave him props for that. And that's good to see. So it shows, even despite him at a young age, because he would have been 18, 19 years old at the time, and he had the bravery to not be intimidated by these senior players. And that's something we're going to need at the club. Obviously, a big figure like Gigio's going, despite the fact he's not had a good amount of experience, let's say internationally and in the Champions League. We're getting a player who has played in the Champions League, has been surrounded by players of great quality, and is in the prime of his career, so you can't really ask for more in that department. So let's talk about the player internationally, and obviously he is capped for France. He has one senior cap for France. He's played through the youth ranks, so he's worked his way up. It's quite hard for him to break into the first team and be the first team goalkeeper, mainly due to the fact that Hugo Lloris obviously won the World Cup a few years back, and sort of is in the twilight ages of his career. So you like to think that this is going into the Euro 2021. This is his last international tournament. 34 years old, and even the backup Steve Mandanda is 36 years old. So Mike is on the fringes of getting that first team spot. He has been called up for the squad in Euro 2021, and I don't think there's much competition for him once Lloris and Mandanda decide to not play anymore internationally, or France decide to pick a younger person as that profile. So yeah, you'd like to think he has a few more caps under his belt, but unfortunately the situation in front of him doesn't really help that. Obviously, unlike Gigio, who has seen a previous legend, Buffon, hang up his gloves a few years back now, so it's kind of helped him evolve internationally as opposed to Mike's situation. So you like to think that with him moving to Milan, a Champions League side, with him evolving in his career, that he's going to get more opportunities, and much more opportunities for France. And it's great because France are a top side internationally. They're one of the, I would say, one of the three favourites going into this international tournament. They always seem to have a impressive squad, and I think it's good to have a person potentially starting for his international team at such a high level. So yeah, I'm really happy with this move, and I've not stated my sort of happiness previously in this video, but I really like this move, and I really like the player, despite the fact that I've had limited viewings of him. I like what I've seen from him, and we're going to go into what he really brings to the squad as an individual, as opposed to his past, individually what he brings in and his sort of characteristics as a goalkeeper. What can Mike bring to this side? What can Mike bring to this starting 11 at Milan? And really, what I look at this player and what I see is a no-joking standard keeper. He is a very good shot stopper. He is very good, collecting the ball from aerial threats. He is someone, I think, when you just think about it, he is a solid keeper. And obviously in the modern age where keepers are seen more, having to do more with distribution, we talk about goalkeepers like Ederson and Alisson at Liverpool and Man City respectively. Even Gigio Donnarumma improved in that quite a lot in his couple years at Milan. Well, nearly half a decade, or whatever it was, in the senior setup. It's seen as a more of a common thing to be very good at distribution and playing out from the back, being quite good with your passing. This is something that he has to improve in. But to be honest, if Gigio did it, I've got full confidence that he's going to be able to do it in our team. And I'd say give it a couple of months, we'll see that increasing. You'll see his distribution quality increasing with the centre backs and Frank Kessie or Benacer or the wing backs, whoever he distributes the ball to. I think we're going to see him improving that, but that's easier to do than, let's say, shot stopping, and it's whether you have those reactions, those reflexes. And he's someone that a lot of people who know the player have been saying good things about him. He has like cat-like reflexes. He's very good with his reactions, very good from like penalties, for example. So we have someone who is a no-nonsense goalkeeper coming into the squad, and I've mentioned it before, really, that do we really need a keeper at top quality level? Like, I'm talking about, one of the top 5 keepers in the world. I don't believe so. I'd rather, well, especially if that keeper's earning a high wage, I'd rather that money is redistributed throughout the squad, and logistically thinking with a smart philosophy of how much we can spend on this squad regarding wages and transfer market activity with purchasing. It needs to be leveled out a lot more, and I still think we've signed a keeper who's probably top 5 in the league, probably in the top 3 keepers in the league, and Look around us. Handanovic at Inter Milan, he's like 37 years old now. You know, Wojciech Szczesny at Juventus, even though they're linked with potentially getting Donnarumma, they still have Szczesny on their cards and they can't make a move without him going. Other teams don't have keepers probably as good as Mike, and it's like, regardless if you want to look at it as a potential downgrade, I don't, you know, just for certain reasons. If you do want to look at it that way, we still have potentially one of the top 3 goalkeepers in the league. So I think that's something to think about. And I like the keeper. From everything I've seen from him, it might be limited, and we'll have to just wait and see how he does in the league. And I think we can't really complain with this signing, because what we've got here is a keeper of top quality coming into the league with top form, and obviously doing something that's not very easy to do, which is win Ligue 1 and prying that away from PSG. And he's been one of the focal points behind that. So let's wrap things up with his first signing of our Mercato. And Mike Maignan represents something that's more than just the first signing of a player. It represents the dominoes that are going to take into effect for the rest of our summer transfer market. Mainly due to the fact with the person we didn't renew, and that is Donnarumma. And it's been, you know, spoken about so many times before, the amount of money we're saving from not renewing him as opposed to signing Mike. I know we didn't get any money for the transfer of Donnarumma, but we've not lost anything. We've not lost any money. If anything, we've, you know, saved a chunk of money for not renewing him, and that's pretty much half of the whole transaction, more than half of the whole transaction of renewing Donnarumma has been saved on Mike Maignan. What does that mean now? And if you look at the whole negotiations with Donnarumma's renewal, especially towards the end of it, and the clinicalness and the cutthroatness of Paolo Maldini, when it comes to the negotiations, we saw it. You know, it came out in interviews after the game against Atalanta, or was it prior, whichever way. Maldini went up to Donnarumma and asked him what's going on about this, and he came out with the answer that Mino tells me what to do. And that just does not stand. The Ultras have said it before, we will not be held to ransom about a player. Maldini knows this as well. And this is a massive power move for the club, a power move for management, to basically tell players that you're not in a position of power. Like, we have a certain value going against your name, which we believe is fair, and we will either pay you for that value. And if you disagree with that, obviously there'll be negotiations. But if it gets to that point, it gets to that focal point where we feel like you're mucking us about and you're putting us to a certain position where we look like fools, you can go elsewhere. We will find a replacement, because obviously no one is indispensable. We can find a replacement, not better out there, but we get a more logical and financially, you know, better replacement for that. I wish Donnarumma all the best, despite the fact that there's been a lot of bad blood with him not signing on and leaving the club. I do wish him the best, because he's a human being. He's grown up for our youth ranks. I just wish he learns from this experience. I would really hate if he joins Juventus on this one. This is the last I'm actually going to talk about Donnarumma in videos going forward. I just wish him the best, and because in the day he's 22 years old. I'm 8 years older than this lad, and I feel sorry for a guy who's being led astray from the puppet master of his agent, but at the same time as well, he's not helped this situation. We did everything to appease him. We signed his brother. We made him one of the top earning goalkeepers in world football, despite the fact he hadn't played a Champions League game nor an international tournament fixture. You know, regardless if that's the fault of the club or in Italy's shortcomings, he doesn't have that in his locker to say, I deserve this money. But we did everything we could to appease the player. We even got into Champions League football, yet he still didn't give us any signs of encouragement that he was going to sign and put pen to paper for a new contract renewal. I wish him the best. But anyway, money has been saved. As I'm doing this video, news came out today that Fikayo Tomori's deal has been fully done. I'm so happy about that, because Fikayo Tomori has been incredible since he joined the club on loan, and I even heard rumours that Tuchel wanted him back at Chelsea, so it's amazing that we activated that buyout clause and got that done, because he's just an amazing player, a young profile, another 5-year deal for a good salary. I feel like management's making the right decisions, and we're going to see that going forward. And don't be surprised if I make a video in the coming weeks if Hakan doesn't sign that renewal, because Maldini's been so cutthroat. He signed a player like Rodrigo de Paul. It's going to be an interesting summer. There's going to be a lot of things in effect, and I feel like I've just got this confidence that managements are going to make the right decisions going forward. There's going to be no regrets this summer. We're going to improve this squad with experience, with quality, players in their prime, and then maybe even pick up a few young players along the way. Giroud apparently is linked to having a deal finalised. It's going to be a very good summer. I just can't wait for making these more videos for, new signings, or how our team's going to look next summer regarding squad depth, or how the formation is going to look. I just can't wait, and it's been everything we wanted from the start of the transfer market. I didn't want us to sort of start off stale and sort of wait and see what happens. We're even talking about Tonali's deal getting sort of adjusted to financially help us, because obviously he's not had the season that maybe Brescia or Milan had intended at the start of last summer. So I've got complete faith in Maldini this summer. So let's see where it goes. But guys, wrapping things up, how do you guys think about the Maignan deal? Put it in the comment section below. Maybe rate it out of 10 what you think about it. Read the article on sempermilan.com. They've done a very good article. They've rated it 9 out of 10 for the deal. I will agree with that. 9 out of 10 for this whole deal and the whole transaction going from it. And until next time, guys, Forza Milan.